I'm Keon.
And this is Inevitable, that podcast where we sleep on an air mattress on the moon, because this week we watched Kill Straker.
Written by Donald James.
Directed by Alan Perry.
And aired on November 4th, 1970.
Alan Perry doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Also, I didn't deliver the title of this episode enthusiastically enough, because this is one of the few TV episodes ever that I've ever watched that has an exclamation point in the name. So really, like, the name should more accurately be delivered as Kill Straker. Or something along those lines.
Yeah, it is it's definitely the most, like you said, enthusiastically written of all the episode titles. Not episode itself, but just the title.
Oh, come on. Don't tell me that scene where Straker was almost murdered by an empty hypodermic needle wasn't the most thrilling 3 minutes of UFO you've ever seen.
It might have been up there, to be honest. Like you said, I think maybe I was more focused on like what Straker was roused from, namely a deep sleep on an inflatable mattress.
I was just, as soon as I saw that bed, when Straker was like, I'm going to bed, and I'm like, wait, is that like blow up, like, plasticine?
It's like one of those pool, like, raft things. But hey, he's taking a page out of Nathan's book from Star Cops, where everyone on the moon just has like the worst sleeping setup possible. Because if you remember from Star Cops, Nathan just like sleeps in a closet.
Okay, but to be fair to Nathan, I don't even know why I'm defending Nathan, but to be fair to Nathan, everybody on Moon Base in Star Cops like works out of closets.
Yeah.
It's just closets all the way down. So the episode begins. I guess we might as well just jump into it, because I really want to get to the part where Straker's sleeping on his air mattress. There's so many funny things happen during that scene. There's so many funny things actually happen throughout this episode. There's just so many like subtly funny things that just make you go, man, am I supposed to take this whole thing seriously? And the first thing along those lines is the exclamation point in the title, you know?
Yeah, I know, like, looking back, was this like was this the parody episode, you know? Was this the Living in Harmony of UFO? No, I'm just kidding. Living in Harmony wasn't like necessarily a parody or anything like that of the prisoner.
Living in Harmony was just like a microcosm of every other episode, which I wouldn't consider it a parody. It was just like the most distilled form of the prisoner. You know, if you distill the prisoner down to its essence.
Actually, I think the episode after that might have been more in line with the parody, The Girl Who Was Death. But whatever.
Probably.
That scene where he drinks the beer and it's like he's on the bottom of the glass says you've just been poisoned.
Yeah, what was that? What was that? They just printed this glass specifically to like troll number 6, just to be like, haha, like, gotcha. Well, anyway, this episode begins with Foster and as yet unknown, but not known for very long, Captain Frank Craig.
I know, he's one of those characters who doesn't last long.
Have you noticed that, like, the number of lunar module pilots that Shadow goes through is just, like, completely inordinate? Like, they lose one almost every episode.
Yeah, there's some lines in this episode that indicate, like, the time scale is pretty, has been pretty long so far, but it's like, yeah, if you're going spacefaring with Paul Foster, like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that was like sort of a rumor or like a talking point on Moonbase where it's like, hey, like, I'm gonna go down to Earth with Foster, and everyone's, you know, they're drawing like lots to see who's gonna have to do this type thing. Because
I mean, yeah, because Paul Foster just has like unbreakable plot armor.
Yeah. It's like being the guy who sits behind Luke in any of the Star Wars original trilogy movies. Like, you're bound to die.
It kind of reminds me of the book red shirts, which is this kind of funny, like, sort of, it's almost like a parody of Star Trek, where, and it's named after this phenomenon where, like, in the original series, if you were wearing a red shirt and you went down on the away mission with the captain, you pretty much always die, because it was pretty much they only ever gave the red shirts to the people who were going to die in the episode, props-wise. But the book's about a bunch of, like, lower deck people on a ship realizing that, like, the captain, the bridge crew of their ship keeps going on these dangerous missions, and whoever goes with them dies, but the bridge crew always comes back completely unharmed. Even when they're, like, put into these situations, it should be, like, completely unsalvageable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, wow, this is really suspicious. And then the plot proceeds from there. I won't spoil the rest of the plot, but it's a very entertaining book, and it goes directions you might not expect. But yeah, so Foster and Craig are just piloting the lunar module back to Earth, just taking an old jaunt where they're being chased by another UFO going faster than they've ever seen before.
Right.
That also happens like once a week.
Yeah. Another UFO hurtling towards the Earth. We actually see Sid do something. I mean, I guess it's implied that Sid is the one picking up the UFOs in general, but we actually see it this week.
You haven't seen Sid for a while.
We haven't really seen Sid in action since, I think, the first episode.
We saw him once more. I'm not remembering when. We saw him once more.
Mentioned in every single intro, Sid, Space Intruder Detector.
I mean, to be fair, so is Skydiver.
Yeah, and the mobiles. Really misrepresenting what this show is all about.
Kind of just lending, like, credence to Foster's argument that Straker is just, like, blowing all of Shadow's money.
Yeah, maybe. And, as someone who hasn't watched any other Jerry Anderson production, this is basically just a guess from me. But, like, in a way, I kind of get, like, what people mean, I think, when they say UFO is, like, the more, mature version of, of Jerry Anderson's output, up until now, I guess, what was it? I mean... yeah, well,
Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet,
yeah,
and
I'm just
Mr.
looking at some of these here. Like, these are more kid-focused things, right? Versus UFO. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of, they sort of, the premise, or like, I guess the vehicles that they have are sort of carried over almost, I don't know if it's one-to-one, but, they're carried over. But like the show is completely for a different demographic, and is not really about like, it's like when you're a kid and you watch Transformers, like it doesn't really have to have like compelling character drama or anything like this. It's like literally just about like the vehicles.
It's just big robots who fight. Big robots smash.
And it's like UFO has that element to it. Yet it's definitely more for adults, right? And that sort of just takes a back seat. But yet the intro does not telegraph that, right?
Well, you're saying UFOs like for adults, and the adult aspect is, ooh, cool space vehicles go smash.
No, I'm saying it's not about that, but the intro makes it seem like it is,
okay.
Right? It's like if Breaking Bad had robots in it, and the intro was like a Transformers intro, but then the show was exactly the same.
Can you imagine Breaking Bad like set in the Transformers universe? Just once a week, Optimus Prime and Megatron come tearing through the town, causing millions of dollars of property damage, just like in the background, while Walter White's cooking up meth.
No, I actually feel that that's kind of like what UFO is. Not the Breaking Bad part, but like just imagine a Transformers show, but it's for adults, and it's like...
It doesn't follow the Transformers at all. They're in the background just destroying things every week.
Yes, instead it follows like, I don't know, a city council that like has to deal with the Transformers and the havoc they wreak. That's what UFO is. We've cracked the code, the UFO code.
The UFO code. Great. I feel like we've said that before, that we've cracked the code.
Yeah.
In fact, we've probably said it multiple times.
Yeah, look, I mean, never accuse Decorative Vegetable podcasts of resting on any laurels, right? We're cracking codes left and right.
We don't have any laurels to rest on.
Great.
Decorative Vegetable is basically our lifelong quest to find laurels to rest on. I've done it. I've cracked the code of Decorative Vegetable.
Oh my god.
It's codes all the way down, Keon. Codes all the way down.
Well, anyway, something else that's going down is Foster and his co-pilot, Craig.
Yeah, they're just crashing. They're going down. They have no control, and well, Straker wants them to avoid being intercepted by the UFOs because I guess the lunar module has no defenses on it. So he tells Foster and Craig to take a steeper entry angle. I'm pretty sure this has been done on the show before.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was conflict actually. Foster takes a steeper angle into the atmosphere in conflict.
Did Donald James write Conflict? Because if he did, then we know where all this is coming from. And hey, guess what? Conflict was the one that had Henderson in it as well.
No, Conflict was written by Rurik Powell.
Yeah. So interesting that this one kind of just basically one for one takes some elements from Conflict.
Yeah, well, you know, TV is a cycle of copying each other. Copying each other, pretending you didn't copy each other.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, people, I think in general, turn the other way to like how derivative some of this stuff is sometimes.
Yeah, they turn the other cheek. So Foster and Craig are, they completely mess up the entry angle, and they end up bouncing off the atmosphere.
As this is happening, the UFO basically just mind controls them, psychically bombards them with subliminal messaging for like 16 hours straight, we're told. It doesn't feel like that, like the way the scene is done. It's only through dialogue later on that we learn that it's been that long.
Yeah, the scene kind of implies it's like 3 minutes, yeah. Not even, that it's done in real time.
Right. And what it looks like is it's sort of, it's, you know, we're quick cutting between shots of like Foster and Craig and, you know, just close-ups of their face and sort of, I don't know, just these strange lights and kind of a strobe light, like very quick fashion. So,
yeah.
You know, don't watch this episode fully in the dark, like with your face 2 inches away from the screen, like I did. No, I didn't actually.
Honestly, wouldn't have been surprised if you had actually done that. You know, knowing the methods, knowing the times and methods by which you've watched episodes for some of our podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the time and methods by which I live my life in general. You know, just. Having no set schedule. You live
your life by time? That's a complete revelation to me, because everything I've learned, it seems to indicate to me that that's not true at all.
Yeah, you're right, actually. You're right. Well, okay, so this scene, I kind of, like, in hindsight, I kind of had a problem with this being in the episode at all, because it kind of just erases any, like, narrative tension that could possibly, like, even exist in the rest of the episode.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't think of that before, but I kind of see what you're saying. Like, because now we know why Craig and Foster are trying to kill Straker, and I especially agree because actually Foster brings up some good points later on. Foster has some, Foster's kind of reasonable in his critique of Straker's plan to make more moon bases. But because we know that they were psychically messed with, let's say, kind of just inclined to believe that Foster's just kind of talking what the aliens want him to say.
Right,
So,
and I think the idea in the rest of the episode is that, like, Foster does feel this way about Straker. It's just the psychic suggestion that is making him go, like, to extremes about it, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, and it's just like there's almost no, like, you almost have no investment in the episode after this, because it's like the next 40 minutes are Straker and Freeman just kind of wondering what is going on, and yet we've already basically been shown rather. And it's just like, you kind of, for Straker's sake, I think you kind of have to assume that this takes place earlier in the timeline, because it's like, come on, how do they not know that it's psychic suggestion from the UFO? Like, they've been exposed to this ability of the UFOs for so many times now. How do they not? And, like, in the last episode, in ESP, Straker was throwing out wild guesses as to what was happening. He was like, you know what? I think what's-his-face took back control from the UFO at the last second and sacrificed himself for us. But in this one, he can't even come up with, like, it was mind control from the UFOs. Come on. He doesn't even throw it out there. It's not even a what if. It's just like, yeah, you have to assume that this takes place earlier in the timeline.
I'm just looking at the Shadow Library timeline and seeing where they think this takes place. They've got it about mid timeline.
Yeah, so even worse, I guess, than where it really is.
Before Cat with 10 Lives, and before ESP.
Yeah, those were the other two that had UFO mind control in a great degree.
So, even though it puts it later, it does put it as the first contact with ESP that we know of, I guess. They could just it could just be 3 more episodes where the aliens psychically control somebody.
I know, and kind of in line with what we were talking about before, where it's like maybe it was kind of a mistake to reveal, to I guess show their hand so early. Is like this episode actually could have, if done slightly differently, been a great introduction to the psychic powers of the UFOs. You know, because they're wondering, like, what is going on here? What happened to Foster and Craig? Like, why are they acting like this? What happened on those 16 hours on the ship? And then they finally reveal that it's psychic powers.
Putting this episode earlier would also explain why Foster just, like, is always mildly antagonistic to Straker, because Straker straight up tries to kill him in this episode. Or doesn't try to kill him. He makes Foster think he's trying to kill him. Just right. pulling a curse of the Fendal on him there.
So where is this in the production order? Let me check really quick.
I mean, it had to have been in the first half because we've got Colonel Freeman, right? This was produced 16th, so it was like the second to last Freeman episode produced. It was also produced after ESP, because ESP was produced 15th.
Speaking of Freeman, he doesn't have a character anymore. Like, after the first... He didn't have much of a character in the first episode. The first episode, his character was that he was basically just a womanizer.
Well, his character was workplace harassment. Thank you very much.
Okay, true. Yeah, that. But after that, he's not even had that. Like, he's just been a guy.
Well, his character is that for some reason he's like vehemently on Straker's side with everything. He would like die for Straker without a question. Even when he's told by Shadow's like technical overlords, the Astrophysical Commissioner or whatever the hell they were called, not to tell Straker something, he immediately is like, Straker, what's going on?
I wonder if that's ever going to come into play. Like, when are we getting our Freeman episode where he's like really put to the test? Or maybe his his trust in Straker is like strained somehow. Who knows?
He's also like, his reaction to Foster being a little nuisance is like, why didn't you just floor that man? Like, why didn't you just sucker punch him in the face, Straker?
Can you actually sucker punch someone in the face? Because like sucker punch is like when they don't see it coming, right? So
can you sucker? I typed "can you" and the first suggestion that came up was "can you reattach someone's ear?" Just reminding everyone that we googled that on this podcast. Can you sucker punch someone in the face?
I know, just yeah, go ahead.
It brought up a core question: how do you properly perform a sucker punch? And the first two lines of the response are, the sucker punch, how to look like a badass using the cheapest of tactics. Okay, it's talking about the targets. A good candidate. It's got a picture of a hipster in a coffee shop. A bad candidate. It's got a picture of like a professional wrestler. Yeah, that would be a bad candidate. I guess you can do it in the face. In this guide, it says if his face is looking down at the cell phone to check the time, you drop your haymaker, hit his little scrawny face as hard as you can, and follow through. Oh, okay. The next line is punch his little tree-hugging vegan ass as hard as you can. And then enjoy the victory. And then step 7 is don't resist arrest. Sucker punching is assault, so therefore illegal. And then step 8 is get a lawyer.
Yeah, I always wonder, like, you know, what kind of person is it that takes the time to answer questions like this on Quora and other similar sites? Just, do they not have anything better to do with their time? Even I have better things to do with my time, and that's saying something.
Well, there's also a video in one of the other responses that's just a clip from, I think this is Batman Forever? Two-Face and the Riddler. Where Two-Face is like, this is how you punch a man. Ball up your fist, reach way back, and then assert yourself, and then he sucker punches a cop in the face. Always forget that Tommy Lee Jones played Two-Face in that movie. That's like such a miscast of epic proportions, but hey, whatever. Anyway, where are we in the episode? Oh yeah, they got psychically controlled. We're like right at the beginning still.
So sometime later on, it's implied that some time has passed, but Straker basically goes into the break room or whatever. Foster's there, and Foster starts throwing some mad shade towards Straker.
Well, Foster's like, why didn't you... Let's drink some water, Straker. And Straker's like, nah, I'm good. And Foster's like, what about something stronger, Straker? Huh? You don't drink? Straker's like, no, I don't drink. And then the guy's like, oh, you don't drink. The guy, Foster's like, you don't drink. I guess some of us think they're too logical to, that, you know, they can deal with their problems healthily.
Yeah. Foster, I don't know if you noticed, but he's using a very interesting utensil to eat. He is using sort of, couldn't tell if it was a fork or a spoon, but it was maybe it was a spork, who knows, yeah. But it was like, it was clear and very long, yeah. God. It was clear and very long.
It's just like a plastic utensil the catering department brought. They're like, the director who directed this again, Alan Perry is like, oh my god, we need a utensil for Foster to eat with, and he just like sees the catering spread, and he's like, that'll do. It's just like a disposable utensil from like the table.
Yeah, who knows if these older British shows were even catered. I think nowadays most TV or streaming shows or whatever probably are. But like, you know, when actors went into the BBC studios to record Doctor Who, or like, did they get food? Did they get lunch? You know, what was the protocol?
Look, we already know the BBC budget was like the gum under the table, a couple pieces of shoestring, and a ball of yarns. Yeah, a couple pieces of sushi.
Then hanging out in the fridge for like a couple months.
So, like, do we really think that they had the budget for food?
That's what I'm asking, is like, it doesn't seem like they probably did, you know? Maybe they did, who knows? Who knows? Well, as it turns out, Foster is mad about the risk that Straker claims he had to take, sending him and Craig on a no, I was going to say a wild goose chase, but not really. Sort of on a suicide entry, I guess. And basically, Foster accuses Straker of abusing his power within Shadow, and also trying to increase it at the same time. He says something along the lines of like they should replace the S in Shadow with Straker.
Yeah, I mean, it might make more sense based on what it. I stole it. What is it? What does it stand for again?
Supreme Headquarters Alien Defense Organization. Right. He says they should turn into like Straker's headquarters or something like that.
He says they should name it Straker's Alien Defense Organization, which is a way better title. I mean, the acronym kind of sucks, but the title is just better.
Yeah, SADO. Just because Straker's kind of he's sort of melancholy and blue all the time.
Just name it SAD.
Straker's Alien Defense.
Yeah, Straker's Alien Defense.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously Straker and Freeman aren't too enthused about this development. Especially since Foster uses the term empire building to refer to what he is doing.
Yeah. He actually uses the exact term empire building.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Sorry, for some reason I thought you had said he uses a term akin to empire building, and I was like, but he uses the exact term.
Yeah, well, that's how I usually speak, so, like, yeah. Usually never talk in absolutes. So, yeah, I can see why you would assume that. But anyway, Straker decides to go to bed. Now, I always, I really like, you get this in The Prisoner as well, but I really like how in older shows and movies, like, going to sleep is like a big ritual, right? It's like, I feel like nowadays people just like collapse wherever they are. But like,
well, first I was just surprised that Straker was staying on Moonbase. Like he didn't want to, like, I don't know, get back to Earth, but he, I suppose, still wants to find out what's going on with this. You know, he wants to know what happened in those 16 hours they were out of radio contact.
Mm-hmm. And that's sort of not played up as much as it should be, I think, in the first half of the episode. But whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever.
I guess Straker's bedroom on Moonbase is also his office because he's talking with Freeman in there, and then there's like an announcement that the next lunar module's leaving in 10 minutes, and Freeman's like, welp, I gotta go. Bye-bye now.
Yeah, still not really clear what Freeman actually does. He's pretty much just there to talk to Straker. But that's fine. It's fine. Whatever.
And then Straker lies down on an airbed, an air mattress. Just like literally an airbed.
Yep. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't even look like that. It literally just looks like an inflatable, like a pool raft or something.
It's quite a bit taller than a pool raft. It's tall enough that he can actually sit on it reasonably, you know. Right. He then gets attacked by a guy with a hypodermic needle, which is Craig. And I don't know if you think Why can't I phrase this sentence? If you were thinking what I thought was going to happen, which was that this guy was going to try attack him with the needle and he was going to pop the bed. I so thought the bed was going to pop during this scene. Not only from the needle, but also from Craig, like, jumping on the bed with Straker. I was like, did they test the stunt before they attempted it on camera?
Yeah, I mean, when you have something like that, and then like a needle gets close to it, it is a reasonable assumption that like it's going to get popped, but it actually doesn't. They're really subverting expectations here, really, flying against the grain, I guess, going against the grain. I didn't actually think that, to be honest, but like what this scene did make me think is that like I wish Craig was. I don't know, like there's really no other way they could have done it, but like Craig was such a non-character, like we had never met him.
Yeah, you wish Craig had more of a character. I was thinking the exact same thing while watching.
Yeah, it's like we've never seen him until this episode, as far as I know. I'll check the listing really quick on Wikipedia to see if he appears, and we just missed him or something. I don't think he's probably even on the list, but whatever. We'd never seen him before. Like, he didn't really have any lines or any distinguishing features in this episode previously, other than the fact that he was, alongside what's his face, Foster, when they were attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he kind of comes out of nowhere and does this. So it's just, I didn't, like, when he was attacking Straker, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, I didn't either, and I don't know if there's a perfect solution to this, because, Foster, we've got a lot of Foster, we know who Foster is, so, when Foster's trying to kill Straker, we kind of know what's going on. But at the same time, like, we've had so much of Foster, and so much of Foster, like, being a plot point in the episodes, I was like, do we have literally anybody else except Foster be the one getting mind controlled or getting almost killed? So, I mean, there's definitely, I think, a better balance to be struck between, like, Craig, who only appears in this episode and is only there to be a plot element to kill Straker, but also Foster, who's like the person trying to kill Straker or trying to undermine Straker or trying to be the plot element to do whatever Straker needs him to do every week.
I can see why this was Craig, though, and not like Foster, just because he dies, right? Is because they have to, have someone who's expendable.
Yeah, because they needed someone to be dumb enough to put on a suit that was recharging with oxygen instead of the fully charged one.
Yeah, desperate enough. I'll put it that way. He didn't really think through the plan, I guess, is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so that happens. They go on, like, high alert. And yeah, basically what you just explained happens. Craig is running through the base. He manages to lose his pursuers, puts on a suit that's recharging, doesn't really have much oxygen left in it, and goes outside. Meanwhile, Straker's taking the attempt on his life like a champ, I guess. He just decides to go back to sleep.
Yeah, Foster's like, don't you want to, like, do something about this? And Straker's like, it's not like any of us are going anywhere tonight, right, Foster? Like, it'll be still there in the morning.
Yeah, because they lock down Moonbase. No one's coming in or out. Doesn't really seem like anyone's coming in or out to begin with, but I guess just as an extra precaution. And so Craig heads out onto the lunar surface. He's visibly dying. He's running out of oxygen. And so the entire next bit was kind of just like a fever dream to me, and that's saying something, because I have some feverish dreams.
Yes, yeah, you do.
Craig just, like, he collapses which is understandable because he's dying. And there's some explosives there. Why were they there? I don't know. Who put them there? Beats me. It's just...
Well, I think Craig took the explosives. I think he was trying to blow up the fuel reserves to blow up all of Moonbase in his efforts to kill Straker.
And they make reference to him sabotaging something. It might have been the fuel reserves, but like I don't remember exactly what it was. But there was some line where someone was like, "Oh my God, he's going to go and sabotage the whatever." But I don't remember what it was. I could be wrong as well. But anyway, he activates the explosives and dies to really no effect, I think. I don't really think there's any adverse effect to his death in this explosion, as far as I can remember.
No, he just blows up. That explosive he had was pretty powerful too.
Yeah. That was like the entire pyrotechnics budget of the show, like in one go.
And so then the next day, not the next day, when Straker goes to bed, Foster asks Nina Barry if he can make a covert transmission to Earth. And he makes a transmission to our favorite recurring antagonist, Colonel Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Henderson, who then sends another covert message to Alec Freeman. Freeman, who then sends a covert message back to Straker. You know, it's telephone all the way down.
That's another thing, too, is like, again, just another way that this episode, like, just kills any potential tension. Is like, you know what's happening at all times. There's not a single moment where you are in the dark or anything. And this kind of just demonstrates that, right? Is like, okay, so... Foster sent the message to Henderson, who sent the message to Freeman, who gives his message to Straker, and you're kind of just following this in a linear manner, and it's rather boring, I would say.
We actually didn't follow this one necessarily in a linear manner because we actually didn't know Foster sent the message to Henderson. We had no idea those were linked until Freeman actually gets there, and Henderson's I got this from Foster.
Yeah, that takes place over the course of like a minute and a half, so I'm just going to say that like it is like pretty obvious all in one go.
Alright, I guess. Dejectedly, I guess.
I don't want to insinuate that like I could have written this episode better, because I probably couldn't. I probably could have only done it worse, but still.
It's good to know your limits, at least. So, Freeman tells Straker that he got this message from Henderson. He doesn't know what it's about.
You cut to, like, Freeman in Henderson's office. He was like, so you didn't tell Straker, did you? And he's like, first chance I got.
And Freeman's like, the first chance, yeah. Literally, as soon as you sent me the message, I told him.
I wonder... whether this is maybe setting up some sort of, I don't know, future ideological conflict between Henderson and Freeman. Probably not. Probably not, because...
Probably not. Come on, don't get your hopes up. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, man?
I know, if there's one thing watching British shows in the 70s has done, it's like, it's taught me not to get my hopes up. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, come on, man.
But every once in a while, like, there'll be something that just, oh.
Yeah, there'll be a lie you'll tell yourself that it's going to get better. You're wrong every time.
No, once in a while there'll be, like, an actual thing where it's like, are they going to follow up on this? And then they do, and that's enough to keep you, like, scraping at the cliff, you know? Like...
I guess. Anyway, after hearing that Foster has made this report, we completely skipped a kind of critical scene to this entire episode where Straker's talking with Freeman about proposing like 2 additional
I think it was
moon
like
bases,
4.
and that'll require double the budget.
Like 4 more.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Foster overhears this and kind of gets involved in the conversation, and then Foster pulls the most like grade school BS on this, because he tells Henderson that Straker wants to double his apportionment of money, but neglects to tell Henderson that the reason for this is that he wants to set up more moon bases. He just makes it sound like Straker wants more money for himself.
I think he does mention the moon bases, right? But he says it's sort of like a vanity play, right? Where Straker is just like, he's trying to build himself up.
I mean, that's what he says to Straker, but what he tells Henderson, or what Henderson tells Freeman, Foster told him, is that he just, like, Foster just told him that Straker wants double the money.
Sure. Foster's kind of vindicated through all of this. Again, I guess I don't want to belabor this too much, but again, just like, since we already know that he's being mind controlled, it kind of, I don't know, just dashes any potential, like, you know, I don't want to say mystery because it's not that in depth, but like, it dashes any potential like curiosity you might have as to like, yeah, you know, he has a point type thing. Straker is kind of, you know, he's maybe I guess being a little self-righteous here, but at the same time
I don't think he has a point. I don't think he has a point, Foster, that is, until he gets to this conversation with Straker that occurs after the Henderson meeting, where Straker comes in and he's like, yeah, we need those moon bases though, and Foster's like, yeah, but we've been having less UFO attacks in the past 6 months than the previous like 18 months before that, you know, and Straker says, yeah, and Foster's like, that could mean that our defenses are perfectly adequate. And Straker's like, yeah, or it could mean that they're massing for a big, massive attack. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, Straker. That explicitly makes no sense.
I actually thought at this point in the episode that the 4 additional moon bases, or however many it was actually like a bluff. And he was testing Foster and trying to see if he was...
No. That only the Straker of ESP would think of that genius maneuver. It really is like we have 2 different versions of Straker, like the smart, calculating, you know, 3 steps ahead Straker, and then the bumbling, like, doesn't know what's going on Straker.
Yeah, there is a marked inconsistency there. He does test Foster. It's just not at this point. And it's in a more direct manner. Yeah,
well, Foster pulls a gun on him, and Straker's like, well, you're going to kill me now, aren't you? Foster's like, yeah. And then Straker covertly turns on the, like, PA system, and then just captures Foster's plan. Well, not captures, just broadcasts it to the entire base. Foster's like, yeah, you know, like we had a disagreement, and you pulled your gun on me, and then there was a scuffle, and then it went off accidentally, and you died. And everybody on Moonbase is like, we gotta get him ASAP. This is also, I think, where Straker drops the most like cold, like threatening line he's ever said, where he just tells Foster, because Foster's like, I'm gonna keep pushing, you know, for a change in leadership. This is before the PA system's on, and he's like, you can't do anything about that. And Straker says, well, you know, we can't fire people from Shadow. You're like, is he saying what I think he's saying?
Yeah.
And later on in the episode, it's confirmed that, yes, he is saying what do you think he's saying?
Yes, so this goes back to Exposed. I mean, just the antagonistic setup to their relationship, right? To be honest, though, like I mentioned to you before we started recording, actually well before we started recording, like 12 hours before we did, but like, Straker should really just be firing himself here for not realizing that it was UFO mind control.
Alternatively, he should fire himself because goddamn is Foster a pain in the ass every week, and Straker still somehow keeps him around.
Yeah, well, it's like he says, like if he lets go of Foster, he is going to have to kill him. You know, if I told you that, I have to kill you.
But think about how much trouble Straker has been for the organization. I mean, Foster has been for the organization. That was a slip.
So you're on the side of letting Foster go, in quotes.
Yeah, I'm on the side of Foster go. You know, home on the range.
Jesus.
Just
well, there if nothing steps in to intervene here, that's a oxymoron, but not or rather like tautological. But if nothing intervenes here, they're both about to die because I guess the gun. I forget exactly how it plays out, but I think the gun accidentally goes off, like Foster was saying it was going to.
Yeah, except it punctures a hole in the wall.
And so they're both just slowly dying. And Foster kind of lords it over Straker, saying that he's younger and more fit, and that so Straker's going to be the first to pass out, at which point he will just kill him.
But then Straker's like, yeah, but you're forgetting one thing, Foster. Willpower.
Right.
Which turns out to be true, actually.
Foster collapses. Could also just be, like, physiology. Foster's a little bigger than Straker, so I don't know, like, the answer to this, but, like, would that mean he collapses first? I don't know.
I don't know, but luckily right at that moment, Moonbase crew breaks in.
They were taking their sweet time with this rescue operation. You know, we'd seen a couple of cuts to them. And they were, they were sort of just leisurely going about opening this door. Because we've neglected to mention that Foster seals them in. He locks the doors and everything like this. So they were just waiting for the last minute for the last minute save, right?
Yeah, they were playing it up for the television cameras, for the suspense.
Yeah, why stop the bomb at, like, 5 minutes when you can stop it at 2 seconds?
Yeah. I guess, in some ways that one I can kind of understand. Because, if there's the possibility you could just mess up and the bomb could just go off at any moment, it makes more sense to if you're going to mess up and cause the bomb to explode anyway, you might as well do it at 2 seconds than 5 minutes to give everybody else a chance to escape, right?
Yeah, true, I guess.
Look, I'm just thinking practically here, okay?
This really seems like it should be like the ultimate conflict of the episode, or like the climax or whatever, but there's still like 10 minutes left.
Yeah, because they take Foster to the doctor. They're really sketchy psychiatrist, the shadow psychiatrist.
Yeah, what was his name again?
Who's making Foster relive his trauma. That's like his method of getting him. Oh, Dr. Doug Jackson. His method of making Foster get over this is to make him relive the trauma of getting hypnotized for 16 hours.
Right. And this is where it comes out. This is where they finally realize that he's being mind controlled.
To kill Straker. Sucks for Craig. Could have been cured, but instead blew himself up on the lunar surface.
I guess what this reveals, though, is that the aliens know who Straker is. Like, they have an idea of Shadow's command structure, or they at least know that he's in charge.
Well, like we said last week, Straker's just the worst alien commander of all time, secretly in charge of Shadow.
Yeah, true. That's why they want to kill him, right? He's failed in his mission one too many times at this point, so...
So, well... Dr. Doug is like, well, I can't guarantee that he's never going to want to try kill you again. And Straker's like, I guess that means we have to take him out back. And Jackson's like, yeah. So they take him into the firing range. Straker pulls the gun and he goes, Foster, I'm sorry to have to do this, man, but I can't have, you're too much of a liability, and just shoots him, and that's the end of Foster.
No, there's a whole confrontation.
No, that's not actually what happens, although that's what Straker wants Foster to think is going to happen.
Right. They have a whole confrontation. It's very low-key. Foster's he's hiding behind the targets. He's hiding in, like, the little ditch or whatever. At this point...
He turns on little shooting range.
Right.
Sorry.
You get that Straker is not really putting his full effort into it, and is kind of just, this is just an act, because, like, he could literally just take 3 steps forward and shoot him, like, in the face.
And Foster's basically, like, crying. He's like, why are you doing this to me? Like, what did I do? Like, why are you trying to kill me? You kind of feel bad for Foster in this moment. You're like, wow. It really did give me Curse of Fendal, you know, like, when the 7th Doctor's like, I never liked you, Ace. Like, you're the worst person ever. Like, I hate you. And Ace is like, why are you doing this, Doctor? All I've ever done is be kind to you. And the Doctor's like, you freaking suck, Ace. And then he's like, I was just kidding. I just needed you to, like, not trust me anymore. And you're like, wow. This is what happens here. Straker's just like, look, I needed to know if you were ever going to try kill me again. And if you were ever going to try kill me again, it would have been right there. Which is like some really bad logic, knowing this is alien hypnosis we're dealing with. But whatever, fine, Straker, if you say so.
Yeah. Of course, the episode ends with the hypnosis taking effect and Foster killing Straker anyway. No, I'm just kidding. Imagine if they just walked right out of that room and Foster was like, kill Straker, and, you know, just kind of goes through with it. No, that doesn't happen.
Everybody's like, no, Foster, no!
Straker demonstrates that he could have killed Foster anytime he wanted if he was really trying by just acing the hardest targets in the shooting range, the miniature ones.
Yes, Straker has the best accuracy out of anyone in Shadow, I suppose.
Imagine if he was just like, watch this, and he let off like whatever 8 shots or however many it was and missed every single one.
One of them ricochets back and hits Foster in the shoulder, and he's like, what the heck, man? Straker takes one in his foot.
I know, yeah. They just both get hospitalized. Then
the rest of the episode is that they're lying in the hospital. Foster's like, what the hell was that, Straker?
It's like that scene at the end of Dumb and Dumber where I think it's Jim Carrey's character. He has a gun. He just has to nail this guy like one time, like non-lethally. He just has to, like, I don't know, shoot him in the leg or something. And he's just like, he's pulling that trigger. It's slow motion. It's super intense. And you just see the bullets like impacting the wall behind the guy, just forming a perfect silhouette around him, missing every single one. It's like the one funny scene from that movie.
Anyway, the episode ends on that suitably Blake 7 sitcom moment where they just kind of hug and chuckle and go like, Straker, you absolute goofball. I'm not going to kill you. Although I should for that performance.
I know, it's like the ending of Breakdown in Blake 7. For anyone who, I guess, isn't in the know. Breakdown is an episode of Blake 7 where one of the main characters tries to kill all the other main characters in cold blood. Both covertly and overtly, and at the end it just ends with them like hugging it out and laughing. Yeah. And not even in like in a way that proceeds organically from the episode. It's just like they re-implement Gan's limiter, and then they're just like,
go,
well, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, we almost died. That episode was the one that really showed how dangerous Gan can be without the limiter, and then they proceeded to like treat Gan as a joke for the rest of his tenure on the show anyway. The writers somehow forgot that Gan came within inches of murdering like Blake and Avon like multiple times in that episode, and then just later on it was like, haha, Gan, funny man, can't kill anyone.
You know, 70% of what was wrong with Gan's portrayal was down to David Jackson. Like, Gan was not the gentle giant that David Jackson tried to portray him as, you know?
Yeah, lest we forget that other episode where he was just like, yeah, I have this limiter because I enjoyed raping women. And you're like, wow, okay, Gan. And the way David Jackson delivers the line is like the most jovial, like Hagrid-esque delivery. I guess the fact that we're not even...
For more on Blake 7, check out Zenith, the Blake 7 podcast, our Blake 7 podcast from 2018.
Say the fact that we're not even talking about Star Cops. We're not even talking about UFO anymore. You know, I don't actually have anything else to say about this episode. I did feel this episode was a little weaker. I think that's a combination of it just not being very exciting and also being... You know, I actually think it's a combination of three things. One of which is that it wasn't exciting. The second of which is that we've already seen alien mind control twice already, and both of those I found much more unique and interesting to watch than this one. This was like the most straightforward way you could have done mind control out of all of them. And third is just that Straker feels like really oblivious in this episode, to the point at which he feels intentionally oblivious to make the episode work.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, like, what, 3 or 4 times already, it's like you kind of have to imagine that this takes place before the other episodes to even have it line up. Interact Zone, I read the Interact Zone blurb for this episode. They had, like, a funny... Oh, right. Kill Straker... Okay, I'll just read it straight up. Previously derided as one of UFO's sillier installments with a one-note plot dragged out over 50 minutes. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think I agree with that too. Probably my least favorite episode so far.
Yeah, it's either this one or Conflict for me.
Yeah, I definitely placed this below Conflict because I think I didn't have as much of a problem with the political machinations of Conflict that you did.
The political meandering. There's some political meandering in this episode too. Until it goes full Blake 7 orbit.
I like Henderson just showing up for 10 seconds. And then not showing up again.
I know, yeah. You kind of, like, when you see things like this in TV episodes, you kind of have to wonder, like, this is sort of a writer-driven decision, right? It's like, budget-wise, you would have just cut Henderson from this episode, right? Because he's only in it for, like, 20 seconds. And so why pay him, you know, type thing, when you can just write your way around having him in it to begin with. But, whatever.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say about this episode.
Yeah, I don't think I do either.
Which means it's time for Britain's 10 actors, of which one of them was in this episode.
Yeah, just one.
This whole episode was a one-man play by Ed Bishop. That might have made it actually more interesting. It's all in Straker's mind.
I know, yeah.
You just see Straker in, like, a brown wig being Foster, and then, like, Straker... There was a scene in this episode where Straker lights up a cigar in Moonbase, and I'm like, is that a smart idea to, like, light up a cigar in an enclosed, pressurized environment like that? But hey, whatever. So I looked up David Summer, who played Captain Craig, excuse me. He's in Silent Witness, The Bill... stages. He played someone named Dylan in a TV show called Capital City. Cat's Eyes, A.D., Crown Court, Smith, Department S, The Avengers. He was in 2 episodes of The Avengers. St. Ives. Something called Submarine X1. Out of the Unknown, Blackmail, The Saint. TV series adaptation of Hamlet, and that looks like everything big he was in. He's still alive, but only acted up to 1996. Mainly because he was born in 33. And so he's got to be like, he's almost 90 now.
Yeah.
He's 89.
89 or 88.
89. It was January 93 he was born, so 89.
I'm surprised they even have that. A lot of actors who were born, like, I don't know, I feel like prior to the 50s, like, they don't even, like, there's, like, no record of their birth or something like that. Like, they don't even really, like, know. That's not true for the most part, but, like, I don't know. I just like thinking that it is. Anyway, he was really the only one to look up for this episode actors wise. So I just looked up Donald James, who wrote the episode. He's written, I guess, a lot of semi-famous things. Oh, he was also an actor. Hang on, let me open up his acting credits. So he acted in Haunted House, The Age of Kings, Dixon of Dock Green, Spycatcher, a couple other things. But looks like he was primarily a writer, and he wrote episodes of shows such as No Hiding Place, Seaway, Emergency Ward 10, The Man Who Never Was. He wrote an episode of The Avengers, The Champions, The Saint, The Secret Service, My Partner, The Ghost. This was his only UFO episode, maybe thankfully. I don't think it was that bad, even though we just spent the last hour bashing it, but maybe thankfully still. Jason King, The Befrienders, The Protectors, The Adventurer, General Hospital. He wrote 3 episodes of Space 1999, and he wrote the TV miniseries A Spy at Evening.
Nice. Well, we have an email from Steven to read. UFO, Kill Straker. This was episode 24 in the order I watched. The words Kill Straker just somehow sound really good together phonetically. The acting in the final scene where Straker does the testing was very well done, and even if you said it jokingly, I feel like we've all picked up on how it might have been believable if the show had some sort of twist where it turns out Straker is an alien. I thought it was funny when Keon said Dr. No was boring and made him not want to continue watching James Bond films. I've seen all of them except the most recent one, No Time to Die, but much of the movies are very boring to me. I watched most of them 10 years ago just to say I had. In truth, a lot of it hasn't aged well and feels really repetitive, and it's kind of weird that the James Bond franchise has a huge following. For your ESP episode, here are possible candidates for what a customized title might have been. There's Keon's Here Comes the IRS, which made me imagine the IRS listening to the podcast, hearing that you hadn't done your taxes, then breaking down the door saying, IRS, open up. There's also Dylan's Gaslighting Everywhere, or perhaps to be more meta, the episode title should have been Gaslight. And lastly, there's the phrase Filthy Corpo.
Sorry to interrupt. I realized that the phrase Filthy Corpo is from Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever that game is. Like, I knew it was from somewhere, and I looked it up afterwards, and I was like, oh my god, this has subliminally infiltrated my mind. Anyway, sorry, go on. I've never played the game, but whatever. But still.
In an early Inevitable episode, I found your debate on whether recently could mean within 3 years or within 5 years interesting. Personally, I think of recently as within the last few months. Lastly, on Star Trek Picard, there's a ship called the Stargazer. I also know a Trek fan who loves pineapple, so I was reminded of pineapple on Stargazy pizza pie. Wow, that sounds like the worst meal ever invented. You're banned from the podcast for that, Steven. He ends the email, cheese, Steven. If we make a Stargazy pie on Cooking with Trust Your Doctor, I'm shutting down all the podcasts.
The way you phrase that does imply that Cooking with Trust Your Doctor will eventually happen, though.
Yeah, I know. It's because every time we make a joke about Cooking with Trust Your Doctor, the jokes become more and more in line with it actually happening. You know, the jokes become more and more serious. The jokes become more and more prescient.
Yeah, true.
We should just do it. We should just do it when we both have more time. Maybe over the summer. I don't know.
It would take effort to even figure out how we would do it, like how we would have it set up.
I know.
Another thing that I know, we kind of just do these podcasts on autopilot at this point. So like making such a drastic shift will actually take some serious effort. But something else that kind of feels like a gut punch from your email, Stephen, is the idea that recent is in the last couple of months. Because, yeah, I mean, I always didn't believe this or thought it wasn't true, but, for the last couple of years, I have realized that, the older you get, the faster time seems to go.
Yeah, it's all about those percentages.
Oh, God.
At 30 years old, 1 year is only 1/30th of your life, whereas at 5, it's like a fully 20% of your life.
Yeah, and also 4 to 5 is a drastic change, versus 30 to 31 is you're probably just doing the same thing day in, day out.
It's all downhill from here, Keon.
Yeah, we joke. I mean, it is, but up until like maybe 23. Yeah, I would say 23. Up until I graduated from college, I never subscribed to the idea that the older you get, the faster your life seems to go. But now I do.
Yeah, but just remember that the older you get, the stronger you are. You know, reboot Doctor Who didn't give us as many memes as classic Doctor Who did. But the one meme I'm glad it did give us was that one.
Yeah, same. Well, we also have a couple social media comments here from none other than someone who we haven't talked to in a long while, Jurgen, who was a frequent...
Oh my god. He's back.
Frequent correspondent of the podcast. Not this one, but of Zenith, of Blake 7 podcast, back when we were doing that. So he has a couple comments here. So one of them, he says, this is in reference to Firefly, actually. He says, I adore this show. Looking forward to spending more time in your company, guys. By the way, Dylan, can I try to write Blake 7 fanfic based on your outlines? You're welcome to contribute, as your native language is English, and I'm just a humble Dutchman. And then he has a Dutch flag and says, and not Afrikaans, that is. I guess that last part, I'm unclear as to what exactly that last clause means, but I think it just means like Dutch as in like Dutch and not Dutch as in like Afrikaans. It was pretty similar to Dutch, I guess.
Yeah, Afrikaans is a derivative.
A dialect,
Dutch.
yeah.
A dialect. I don't know, it's hard to classify whether it's a dialect or not. I don't know. It's like if you know Afrikaans, you can understand Dutch, but not the other way around. So it's like weird. Just because there's so many anachronisms in Afrikaans that it's hard to understand if you only know Dutch. But
yeah,
if you know it the other way around, like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Afrikaans is a weird language.
Yeah, that is weird. There's like semi-mutually intelligible or something like that. And then so...
Yeah, if you know Dutch, you can understand like a good amount of Afrikaans, but because of all the like local the local, what's the word I'm looking for?
The loan words?
Just had it and then it was gone.
What?
I don't know. Just the local weirdness of it like, makes it hard.
Well, okay, and then in Jurgen's second comment, he says he realizes that this one is in reference to UFO, to episode 6 ESP.
Well, before you do that, we didn't respond. Yes, you can.
Oh, yeah.
You have my
permission.
permission.
I'll tell him that online, too, because I don't think he's going to listen to this one for a while. But if he's going through Firefly and all that. But anyway, he says in reference to UFO, oh, that was about 2021. Never mind. We'll try to catch up. Keep up the good work. So I'm guessing what he realized is that Firefly was not our most recent thing. So, because I still have it. That's our pinned tweet on Twitter. These are from Twitter.com.
Yeah, what the heck?
It's still Firefly.
Come on,
I just
man.
feel that Firefly is a more enticing show or something. Maybe not actually, given a lot of people listen to us to hear us talk about older British shows, but whatever.
Yeah, people come to us for our our cutting edge commentary about old British science fiction shows. We are, if you think about it, reluctantly though I am to admit this, we aren't like accidentally now one of the like experts on old British science fiction television in the world.
No, I wouldn't call myself an expert.
We know a lot more than I think the vast majority of people.
Yeah, we definitely know a lot more than just the average person about, like, I don't know, the history and of all this stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
We'll revisit this statement in 5 more years. Actually, we'll revisit this when we get to the 10-year anniversary of Trust Your Doctor.
It's coming up. Only 2 more years. All about those percentages, baby.
Wow, thanks. Well, on that note, if you'd like to email us, you can reach us at thedoctor@decadentvegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on, Kill Straker. Thoughts on whether or not we should kill Straker? You give us some ideas.
Show of hands, yeah.
Yeah, show of hands. We'll get a straw poll going. Anyway.
Oh my god.
You can find us on YouTube at Decorative Vegetable, and you can find us anywhere else at Inevitable, a classic sci-fi podcast. Please leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor, like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next time, we're going to be watching the episode entitled Sub Smash. Straker must face his claustrophobia. Whoa.
Straker's claustrophobic.
I know, yeah, this is like the second biggest reveal since the
he has a kid?
summary revealed he has a kid, yeah. Anyway, Straker must face his claustrophobia when the Skydiver submarine is damaged and unable to surface.
Oh no.
But until then, the end.